Hello guys, and welcome to another tutorial from Trust, where we're going to learn how to build this particular website. Okay, so basically this is a modified version of a short website URL shortener I found on frontendmentors.io. You should totally check them out. They have some great designs for front end practice. Okay, so basically it's a simple website. I did some modification to the website based on my preference. Okay, so that's a disclaimer, and I'm just going to, it's a responsive website, by the way. So when I refresh the website, there is this slide up animation that occurs on the initial aspects of the website, and it's a responsive website. But first, let me show you what it looks like. So I'm just going to scroll down and show you. So we're going to learn particularly something about this section. I hope you learned something new in this particular section. And let's see what the footer looks like. So this is what the footer looks like. It has 5 subsections with links, a logo, and social icons. Okay, so we're going to learn how to build this. So let me quickly just reduce the width of my browser so we can see. So it's a responsive website basically, and when we get to the mobile width, everything changes. So from the menu, okay, so I did some modification on the menu as well. So let me just scroll down and show you what we have. Okay, so this also changes, and yeah, so this is basically what we have on the project. Okay, so let me make this bigger. So if you are not subscribed to my channel, I want to appeal to you to subscribe at this point. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. And I will be encouraged to make more HTML, CSS, and even JavaScript tutorials. Okay. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for subscribing right now. Okay. So also, if you would like, you can check out my course on Udemy on Git and GitHub. Essentially, Git is a tool that every developer should know, and the earlier you know about Git, the earlier you get to use Git, the better for you as a developer. Okay, so check out the course where I take a beginner friendly approach. Thank you so much, and let's get into the project. Okay, so first off, let me just minimize this and shrink my browser just a little. Okay, so this is our starter file, our starter template, I should say. I will leave a link in the description to this template, so you can just start coding from where I start. Okay, let me shrink this a little also. All right, so basically what do we have here? We have an index.html and a styles.css, and we have these files where we have our text for our website. Okay, and like I said, this was gotten from frontendmentors.io. I give them credit for their design. Okay, so we have Google Fonts, we have our custom CSS linked. Okay, and we have our styles.css. Okay, basically in our styles.css we have some global styles. So let me just quickly show you. So we're using font family Poppins, and we set our body width 100%. We set some styles for our paragraph. Okay, some predefined styles for our paragraph, and for every section we added a padding, and we also created a container class. Okay, with a max width of 120 rem, and we're using rem here because in our HTML here we set our font size to 10 pixels. So any value we use in rem is going to be multiplied by 10. Okay, and also we have some colors. So these are basically variables that we have already set, because I really do not want this tutorial to be too long. I want to be as fast as possible. Okay, and then we have some utility classes where we set bottom margins. Okay, that we're going to use in some various sections here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to code the header section. So I'm going to take it from top to bottom. So the header section first. So I'll go to my index.html and I will start writing my markup. I really do hope that the font size is okay, because it gets really big when I make it like this. So that's why I. All right, so let me get started. So let's write the markup for our header. So I always like to comment my code, and I'll try and talk less in this tutorial. Okay, just to make it a little bit faster. Okay, okay, so let's go. So I would right click and I would open with live server. So I have live server installed on my Visual Studio Code. Okay, I can probably leave a link in the description to show you how you can also have that. Basically it helps me see what I am coding. Okay, all right, so we're going to add our unordered list next. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to. All right, so this is our unordered list here. Like I said, I did some modification to the original template. So it's not going to be exactly the same, but if you would like to see some um, styles for the hamburger menu in the original template from Front End Mentors, then maybe you should check out my other tutorial where I actually do that hamburger menu. Okay, so let me continue this one. All right, so this is as far as we go for the header section. This is the markup for the header section. What we're going to do next is we're going to add some styles to our header section, and that's what we're going to do right now. So I'll go to my styles.css and I'll begin adding styles. So the first thing I'll do is I'll add a comment here, like I always like to do in my tutorials. So to make it easily, okay, so basically this is just a comment that makes it easy for me to find the header section when I'm scrolling, when I have a lot, when I've written a lot of CSS. So let's get right with our styles. So I'll be using variables like we said earlier. So I'm going to give the header section a variable, a color of dark violet. And let's see. So basically this is what the header section looks like. Okay, but we're not done. We need to add some more styles. Okay, so for future purpose, I'll need to give it a position of relative. And let's come and start from the logo. So we're going to style from left to right. Okay, and apparently the next thing is the logo. and then we're going to look for the nav, and basically I'm just going to give the nav a display of flex. So what that does is that it horizontally aligns all the contents of the nav element. So maybe what I'll do first so that we can properly see what we are doing is that I'm just going to give this temporarily a background color of gray so we can see what we are doing. Okay, so this is what we're working on right now. So I'm going to give it a justify content of space between, and I'm going to align items to center. And so we have things spaced out a little. Okay, all right, so now let's get the nav UL, and we're also going to set the display to flex, and we're going to set the flex grow to 1. Okay, so let's get the list item. So nav, and let's get the list items inside of it, and basically we're just going to set the list style to none, and let's save that. Okay, so it removes the disk in front of the list item here, and let's do a little bit of padding. So basically I'm just going to say padding, and on the top and bottom I'll say 0, and on the left and right I'll say 5 pixels, so that's 0.5 rem. Okay, so we have things spaced out a little here on our list items. Now let's look for the a tag. So I would say .navul, and I'll get the list items and the a tag. Okay, but I'm also going to get the, so let me just copy this and paste it here. I'm going to get the first child for these items here, this list link items here. So what I'll do is I would say I actually have to use the class. So the class is login and a, so I'll then say first child. The reason why I'm doing this is because every style that I put here also applies to the login link. Okay, so let me come here and show you. So like for example, the hover styles that you see here, they also apply to the login link. So that's why I'm targeting this login div and the first link child. Okay, all right, so just wanted to explain what I was doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to give it a font size of 1.4 em, text decoration, I'll set it to none to remove the underline. Okay, so you see that the underline is gone, and I will just say I want the color to be, and I'll just say white. So let's just use our variable, and let's close that and save. So it doesn't display anymore. So at this point what we need to do is excuse me, we need to come to the header section and we need to change our color back to violet, so dark violet I think, and save. Okay, and so we have our link items displayed properly. Okay, so it's taking shape. Now one thing you will notice is that the link items just after the logo here shows only 3 items, and the login and the sign up only shows when you get to the mobile with So we're going to do that, don't worry. Okay, so but in the meantime, let's just continue. So I'll target the login and the first child. So I'll just copy this guy and I'll paste it here. And basically what I just want to do is I want to add a margin to the right. So margin right, and I'll just say 1.5 rem. Okay, so there's some space in between this login and the sign up button we're going to style. Okay, so next let's add a hover property for our links. So I'll just say .navul and li and e, and I'll then say hover. But at the same time, I also want to add a hover property for this guy also. So I'll come here, I'll copy this so that I don't have to type it again. And before the first child, I'll need to come here and say hover and first child. So that's how you place the syntax. So the hover before the first child. And basically inside, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to change the color. So I'll come here and get the color, and then I'll paste it here, and I'm going to change it to cyan. Okay, so if we hover, you see that the color changes. All right, yeah. So next, let's target these last two items here and let's hide them on the desktop view. So I think they have a class of u-login. So let me just confirm that and be sure. So they have a class of u-login. So I'll come here and say u-login, and I'll say display, and I'll set it to none and save. Okay, so it's looking more like what we have here. So we have 3 link items, and then we have these guys here. All right, so I think what we'll do next is we'll style this button so it looks like what we have here. Okay, so let's go ahead and style the button. So I would say .btn, and first off, let's give it a font size of 1.4 em and a font weight of 500. Text decoration set to none. Background color, I think we use cyan. Okay, so I'll say var and cyan. And let's add some padding. So basically on the top and bottom, I'll give it a padding of 1 rem, and on the left and right, I'll simply give it a padding of 2 rem. Okay, and let's save and see. So this is what we have here. We're not done. So let's change the color of the text within the button to that's not what I want. White. And basically I just want us to add a border radius. So I'll say border and radius, and I'll just do 5 rem. So that's like 50 pixels. Okay, and save. Okay, so we have a nice looking rounded button here. Okay, so now let's do the opacity of the button. That's because when you hover on the button here, you see that the opacity kind of changes. So that's the basic animation we have on the button. Okay, so I'll come here and let's add the opacity, and basically we're just going to set it to 1 here, and let's add a transition all and 0.5 rem, 0.5 0.3 seconds rather, so 0.3s. So basically I'm just going to get this button and set a hover property here. So .btn, and I'll say hover, and I'm basically just going to get the opacity and reduce it a little. So instead of 1, I'll just say 0.8, and I'll just save at this point. Okay. All right. So as you see, when we hover on the button, the opacity reduces. Okay. So that's like the effect that we have here. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to the way I like to build websites is that when I build a section, I try to write the media queries for that section. I find it easier to just write the media queries when the classes are still fresh in my mind, okay, than to write all of the website and then come back to the header section and start writing media queries. Okay, so if I shrink the website, you see that when it gets to mobile size, things start to get distorted. So I'm going to do that right here in the section. Okay, so when I'm leaving this section, I know that I am done with the section. Okay, so let me just make this a little bit bigger, and let's write our media queries. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to add a comment. So I'll just come down and I'll just add comments here and see media query. So this is so that when I write a lot of CSS, I can find any part of my CSS. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another comment here. I'm going to use media query to taglet sizes for tablet and mobile. Okay, so I'll just say tablet sized devices. Okay, and basically from my experience building the original website, I know that from 985 pixels things start to get distorted on various sections of the website. So I'm going to add a media query that is going to cover for that width. So basically how we do that is we say and media, and then we target screen, and in brackets we say max width. And let me just write it first and I'll explain. So I'll say 985px, and then all of my media queries are going to be inside here. Okay, so I'll come down here and maybe I'll just copy this, and then I'll come down a bit and add another comment. This time I'll say mobile responsive of queries. Okay, and I'll paste that in, and then I'll change the width of this here to 600. Now let me just take a minute to explain what this media query means. If you know it, there's no problem, but for some people may not understand the difference between max width and min width. So when you see max width, max means the highest number. What this actually translates to is that any device width that is less than 985 pixels. Okay, so in my mind I try to like make an inverse of the meaning of max. Okay, so max means the highest, but what it actually means here is the opposite of the highest. So it means any device with lower than or less than 985 pixels. So also here max width of 600 pixels simply means any device with less than 600 pixels, whereas when it is min width, it means any device with greater than the selected pixels. Okay, all right, so that's that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add some media queries for the mobile section. Okay, so I'm just going to come to the mobile section. So I really don't need to add media queries here for the header section, so but I'll come here and I'll target the header. So let me just shrink this to show you where it start distorting. Okay, so it start distorting somewhere here. So this is around 600 pixels. So I'll target the header first and I'll give it a height. I would increase the height to 9 rem. I'll get the logo and I'll set the margin to 0. Maybe I should be saving so we can see what we are doing. and then I'll get the login, which is for these guys here, right? And I'm going to set the display to none. Okay, so we just have these guys here, right? All right, now let's target the nav, and we'll change the display to block. So basically what we're trying to achieve is we want to achieve this. Now, like I said, on the original template on front end mentors, there is a hamburger menu. Okay, but if you really want to see how you can design that hamburger menu, I'll leave a link in the description to another website I built. In fact, let me just pause this tutorial and show you. Okay, so I was able to locate the previous tutorial I did. So this is a hamburger menu right here. So if I click on it, there is this animation that slides down the menu. Okay, so if you would like to actually build this kind of menu in the current tutorial we're doing here, then I'll leave a link in the description to this tutorial to show you how that was done. Okay, so apologies for my modifications on the template. Okay, okay, so I'm going to close this and so we can get back to what we're doing. So currently we are in the nav section and we change the display to block. So I'm going to set the text align to center and I'll save. Okay, so this is what we have right here. Now what we'll do next is we'll target the nav UL, and I'll just set the justify content to center and save, and so we have this guy here in the center. Okay, so next we'll look at the u login. So the u login class dot u hyphen login, and remember we set the u login class to display none initially. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So this is the login and sign up links. In the first set of links we set it to display none. So what we're going to do now is on mobile we're going to set it to display. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is I'll just say display inline and I'll save, and as you can see we have the link items here as it is on the main demo. Okay, so basically I think those are the styles we need for now. Okay, for the header section, so let me just expand this and let's see what we have. So this is what we have. Okay, and let me shrink up and let's see. So when we get to the mobile with the link structure changes, and we have this here. Okay, so we're done with the header section. I'm going to take a quick break and I'll see you in the next section where we're going to build this intro section. Okay, all right. All right, welcome back to our lecture, guys. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to be building this section here. So let me expand my browser. We're going to be building this first, like an intro section with this text and this image. Okay, so let's get right into it. So I'll minimize just a little, and we're going to first write our markup for this section. So I'll go to my index.html, and so this is our header section. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a main element. So I'll say main, and every aspect of our website is going to go into the main section. So basically we have a header section, and the remaining content will go into the main section. It doesn't really do anything, so it's just for semantic purposes. Okay, all right. So within the main section, first off I'll add a comment and I'll say header, or I'll say intro section rather. Okay, so let's create a class of section. So I'm going to give it a class of intro text. and this is where we're going to put in our text. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the header text, and let me just grab the header text. So I'll go to my index file where I have all the text I need for the website. And where is our header text? So more than just short link, and I'm just going to paste it inside my h1 tag, and I'm going to add a utility class here, and basically it's going to be u margin bottom small. Okay, and let's go ahead and add our paragraph, and it's going to have a class of u mb and medium. And I'll just grab the text for that aspect of the page. So I'll copy and I'll come here, I'll paste it in. Okay, so but also within the h1 tag, I'm going to add a span class here. So I'll just say span, and I'm just going to get this shorter link and put it within the span. Okay, and then I'll just save. All right, so also I'm going to add a button. So I'll just come here and say a with a class of btn. It's going nowhere, and it's going to say get started. So get and started, and I'll save. So let's see what we've done. All right, so this is what we've done so far. Okay, as you can see, our button already takes the style of the button here. So let's code for us. Okay, so now let's do the next section, and that's going to be dot intro image. And basically we're just going to add an image tag. So I think it's the illustration working.svg, I think, and let's save. All right, so basically that's what we have here. So basically I think we're done with the markup, except that we want to add a modifier class to our button. So I'll say btn hyphen large. Okay, all right, so I think that's it basically. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to my styles so we can start adding our styles. So like as always, we're going to add a, so this is it here. So we're going to add a comment, and I'm just going to say intro section, and okay, so let's first get the class of intro section, and basically I'll give it a background color of gray, and a padding on the bottom of 10 rems, and I would say I want the overflow to be hidden, and then I'll save. We'll see why we're adding this overflow hidden here much later. So I'll get the class of intro, that's the container modifier class, and basically I'm just going to say display flex, and I'll say justify content space between, and I'll save. Okay, so we have this guy here, and it's not looking, of course when you expand it, it looks not bad, but as you shrink it, it doesn't look too good. So anyway, let's just keep writing our styles, and you see how things play out. Okay, so I'm going to target the intro text, intro hyphen text, and I'm going to give it a width of 45%, and I would also display flex with flex direction to column, justify content to center, align items to flex start. So I want it to start at the beginning of the space. Okay, so this is what we have here. So everything is centered very nicely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the h1. So I'll just do this and copy, and I'll target the h1 property, h1 element rather, and basically I will just say I want a font size of 5.5 rem. So that's a really huge font size, and I want it to have a font weight of 700, and I want it to have a line height of 6 rem, and last of all I want it to have a color of dark violet. So variable, and so VIO and dark violet, and save. Okay, so this is what we have here, right? Okay, so let's add some more styles. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to target the span class within the h1 tag. So basically I can just copy this guy here and paste it here, and then I can add the span, and for the span I'll just say display block because I want it to be on another line, and save. So basically let me just shrink this out. So this is what we have. So the shorter links actually displays on a fresh line. Okay, just like this here. All right, let's shrink this up a little, and basically I want us to target the button, so .btn, but just the modifier class, so button hyphen large, and that's because this button is quite small. We want it to look a little bit bigger than this. Okay, so let me just go to the original. So you see that it's a little bit bigger and the text inside is bolder. So that's what we want to achieve here. So basically we're just going to increase the font size to 1.6 rem, and we're going to increase the font weight to 700. So the previous button was had a font weight of 500. We're going to increase the padding also. So padding, and it's going to be 1.2 rem on the top and bottom, and 3.5 rem on the left and right. So if I come here, you see that we have a much bigger button, okay, compared to this. All right, so that's that. Now let's get the intro image. So that should be dot intro hyphen image, and basically we just want it to have a width of 45% as well. Okay, so you see we have something that looks much better. So let me expand it. Okay, and let me shrink it up. So as we begin to shrink it up, it doesn't look nice here, so we need to add some media query to make it look better on tablet and as well mobile device. So if I come to mobile devices, it looks, you know, very not good. Okay, so I'm going to come to my media query section, and basically I'm going to first of all target the tablet version. So this tablet size device is here. I'll just come here and I'll first of all add a comment and say intro section or header section. Yeah, intro section. And I will then say, first of all, I'll target the dot intro text. So intro text. And I will increase the width to 50%. Okay. And then I'll get the intro text and h1, and I'll adjust the font size. So font size this time to 4.5 rem, and I would set the line height to 4.5 rem as well. So let's save. Okay, So as you can see, it looks much better, okay, compared to before. All right, so what we're going to do next is let's come to the mobile version, and let's add some styles here. So in the mobile version, I'm just going to come down here, and I'm going to add a comment first. As always, I'll say intro section, and basically I'll say dot intro. So let me just shrink it down a bit so we can see. So somewhere here, 600 pixels, we want to adjust the styles, okay? So dot intro, and I would say flex direction, and I'll set it to column reverse. So if you do not know what these Flexbox properties are doing here, then you probably should check out my um, Flexbox crash course. I'll leave a link in the description to that, okay? So that will, make it clearer, okay? So I'll target the intro image, and basically I'm just going to give it some padding here on the bottom. So I'll say padding hyphen bottom, and let's just do 4 rem and save. Okay, so we have some space here. All right, so now let's target the intro text, intro hyphen text, because we need to center some the text. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll change the display to block. Okay, I'll give it a width of 100%, and I'll set the text align to center. Let me save and see what we've done. Okay, so this is what we've been able to achieve with these 3 lines of CSS. And well, let's do a little bit of padding on the top and bottom. So I'll say padding, and I'll do 4 rem on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right, and save. So we have some space around this section. So I think basically we are done with this section with these media queries we've written. So let me just expand and show you. So as I keep expanding, you see that it adjusts, and you see, so basically that's what we've been able to achieve with this section. So I'll take a short break, and I would come back so we can build the next section. All right, see you soon. All right, welcome back, guys. This time we're going to build the let me just go to the main. Okay, so we're going to build this section here. Okay, so it's going to contain this form input section, this advanced statistics, like an about section really, and it's going to contain this feature section. Okay, so that's what we're going to build in this part of the tutorial. Okay, so let's go first and write a markup. So let me just shrink this just a little bit and come to my index.html. So I'm going to go below the section here, and I'm going to add a comment. So as always, and this time I'll say input about and feature section. So it's going to be like 3 in 1, yeah? And let's start. A div with a class of container and a class, okay? And then I will then add my another div with a class of input box. Okay, and it's also going to have a utility class. So I'll say .u-mb and large. So within it, I'm going to add a form. I'm just going to leave the action blank, and within that form I'm going to add an input, and this input is going to be a type of text, and it's going to have a placeholder. that will say, so the place that will say shorten a link here. Okay, I think I have the text here. Let's see. So I can just write it here. So I'll just say and let me save and see what I've written so far. Okay, so this is what we have. Doesn't look pretty, but we're getting there. And then I would add a button. Okay, and this button is going to have a class of link button. Okay, and basically this button is simply going to say shorten it. So let me just grab that. I think I have that here. So yeah, and I'll paste it and save. Okay, so what we'll do is I think I'll just write all of the markup that is necessary for this section before we go and start writing the CSS. Okay, so next I'll create a div with a class of about, and within that div I'm going to add an h2 tag that is going to have a utility class of mb small. So that's u mb hyphen small, and it's simply going to say, let's see, advanced statistics. So I can just grab that. I think I have it also. So copy and paste. Okay, and then I'm going to add a paragraph. So the paragraph is going to have a margin bottom. So dots u hyphen mb hyphen medium, and let's just copy the paragraph text. So this is what it says, and paste it here. Okay, so last we're going to write the markup for the feature section. So this is what we have so far. So let's come and get the markup for the feature section here. So just below here. So I'll see section dot, and I'm going to put it in a container of its own. So what I'll do is I'll just create 3 feature boxes. Okay, so let me just give some space here, and I'll create a div with a class of feature box. So this should be features section and feature box, and I'm going to add a modifier class of box1. We'll see why we're adding that much later. Okay, and within the boxes, what do we have? Basically we just have this image, this header here, and the text. Okay, so I'll come here, and basically I'm just going to add the image first, but I'll put it in a div. So I would say dot feature image, and I'm simply just going to say img, and the source is going to be in the images folder, and the first one is going to be brand recognition .svg, and I'll save. Okay, so we have the image here. All right, so next we're going to add text. Okay, so I'm just going to say h3, and I'm just going to type out brand recognition, and we're going to add a paragraph here. So p, and basically I'm just going to copy this paragraph, okay, so that I don't have to type so much. I'll just come here and get it because we have it, and let's paste it in here and save. Okay, so basically this is what we have in the next section, okay, of our page. And what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate these 3 times, okay, so that we have 3 boxes here. Okay, and I'm just going to pause the video and quickly do that so I don't spend too much time writing HTML. So let's just do that quickly. All right, welcome back, guys. So basically I just duplicated these features boxes, okay, and I just changed the details of the images and the text, okay, on it. Okay, so all of what I did will be found in the starter files. Okay, you would find that in the starter files, but let me just quickly show you. So this is the first feature box and this is what the text within it. Okay, so this is the second feature box here, so it has a modifier class of box2, and this is the last feature box here. Okay, but I actually discovered that I use section right here. So inside the feature box here I used a section. Okay, so what I'm actually meant to use is a div, okay, not a section. So it's a div with a class of feature section. Okay, so I am going to scroll down, and also this should actually be just features and not even container. So those are the two corrections I'm doing here. So not sections but div, and the inner div will have a class of feature. Okay, so let me scroll down and make sure that it's automatically corrected here. All right, so I think that's it. So let's write our CSS quickly. So I'm going to come to my styles.css and let's come out of the media query, and basically let's just add a comment as we always do. So I would say input about a feature section. So it's like 3 in 1, but I really call them subsections, okay, because it's just one big container holding all of it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to target the input section, and let's just give it a background color of, I'll say var, and I'll just say dark gray. So I'll say gray and look for dark gray. Okay, so that's all for that. And then I'll get the input box, input hyphen box. That actually sounds strange. Let me just make sure that that's the class. So input box, okay, yeah, that's it. All right, so for my input box, I'm going to give it a background color of, so I'll say var, and I'll simply just say violet, so dark violet really. And let's give it a max width of 100 rem, and let's center it. So let me just save so we can see what we're doing. So this is what we're doing right here, right? Okay, so it doesn't look great, but let's keep writing some code. So I'll give it a margin to center it. So I'll say 0 and auto, and let's do some padding, and I'll just say 5 rem. So that's a huge. So all right, so this is what we have just by these few lines of CSS. Let's continue and let's give it a background image. So, and I'll say URL, and basically I'm just going to say shorten. So shorten desktop, yeah. And of course we need to add a border. So I would say border 1px solid transparent, and therefore I'll add a border radius of 5 pixel 0.5 rem, so that will add some kind of curve around it here. Okay, and then I'll take it upwards. So before I take it upwards, maybe I should just do that here. So I'll say transform, and I'll say translate in the y-axis. So y-axis is the vertical axis, and I'm going to say I want it to go upwards by -80%. So I'll say -80%, and I'll save. And as you can see, let me just make this a little bit bigger. So it's like it's resting on both the intro section and this about section below. Okay, so that's what we wanted to achieve, and let's come and shrink it a little, and then let's add some styles for our form. Okay, so basically we're just going to say dot input hyphen box and form and input, and basically let's just do some padding first. So 1.5 rem. Okay, let's do a font size of 1.6 rem, and we will need to add a font family, okay, because for some reason the font family does not take inside the input. So I'll just say font and family, and basically what we used before, which was Poppins, and our fallback font we can just say sans serif and save. Okay, so it's changed here. So we'll give it a width of 80%. Okay, and let's set the border to transparent, and let's give it a border radius of 0.5 rem, and let's just say we want a margin left, so we'll add some space between this guy here. So basically I'll just say 2 rem. Okay, it should actually be margin right, not margin left, so right, and save. Okay, so there's some space here. All right, so let's do one more thing. Let's say outline and none. So basically when we this outline property here, it's this black line around the input section, it's going to remove it. So I'll say outline and none, and then I'll save. If I hover here, you don't see that outline anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to target the link button now. So basically I can just copy a little bit of this, and instead of input I'll just say dot link hyphen button. Yeah, and well, we got to give it some of the properties. So font size of 1.6 rem, font weight of 700. Okay, and let's give it a color of white. So it's actually writing white variable actually takes more text, because if I just write the hex code, it's hash 777. So but anyway, just so you know, so let's give it a width of 20%. So let's save. Okay, and let's say we want a background color of cyan. So I would say var and cyan, not car but var. Okay, so let me just bring this out a little. So, and let's say we want a border thing to be transparent, and we want a border radius to be 0.5 rem. Set the outline to none, and the cursor to pointer, and save. Okay, so for some reason it's not occupying all of the, it's not being displayed on one line. Okay, So we're going to need to fix that. So I think let's add some padding. So let's do padding. And save. Okay. Okay, so basically all we have to do is to come here. So just before the form input styles here, we just need to add. So I'll just simply say dot input box, and I'll just target the form itself, and I'll say display flex, justify content, center, and I'll give it a width of 100%, and that should fix this our button that is coming to this other line. So if I save, so we have our button here. All right, so let's go ahead and add styles quickly to this advanced statistics section and these other sections here. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add a comment and just say about section. So basically I'm going to style this little section here. So I'm going to say dot about. I'll say text align, center. I'll do a width of 50%. I'll save, and as you can see we have a width of 50%. We have it centered here. Okay, and we want it to margin 0 and auto to align it to the center. Okay, so this is what we have here. Okay, so next I'll just target c dot about, and I'll just target the h2, and basically let's just give it a font size of 4 and let's give it a font weight of 700. So font weight 700, and let's say we want it to have a color of var and dark violet. Okay, I'll save. So this is what we have here. Okay, let's do for the featured section. So let me just space this out a bit. Okay, so let's do for the feature section, and okay, so that's about it for the about section. So let's save, and okay, so now let's add some CSS for our features section. Right, so let's see that feature, and let's do display not inline but flex. Let's justify content to space between. Let's align item, and this time we'll say flex start. So let's save and see what we're doing. Okay, so we're doing well, and let's do position of relative. Okay, so we're going to need that positioning for the next section. So basically in the next section I'm going to say feature, and I'll put a pseudo element of after, but I'm just going to hold on. I'm not going to add the content, the CSS content here yet, because I want to add my styles for my feature box so I can have some perspective on what I'm doing. So I would say feature right hyphen box, and basically I'm just going to first off give it a position of relative because I'm going to need that positioning later. I'll give it a background color right of white, so var, I'll start some padding 7 on the top and 3 rems, so 7 3, and I'll save. Okay, so this is what we have here. So what I'll do next is I'm going to target the last child. I'm going to target everything but the last child. So let's just do Ctrl V, and I'll say not. Okay, and then I'll then say last child. So what this means is that every CSS rule I write here is going to affect the feature box except this last feature box. Yeah, and basically I just want to add a margin on the right, and I'm just going to say 2.5 rem, and I'll save. Okay, so you see that we have some margin here, right? Okay, so what we will do is let's target the feature image, so this image here. So I'll say dot feature hyphen image, and I'll say display to inline block, and let's give it a background color really. So we'll say var, and this time we're going to use dark violet, and let's save. Okay, so this is what we have now. All right, so let's give some space so we can add some more stars. Let's do some padding of 1.5 rem all around. Okay, and let's do border of 1px solid transparent. Let's do border radius of 50%. So we want to have a circle really, or a rounded up image. So that's what we have there by border radius. So now let's now do position of absolute, and let's say from the top we want minus 3.5 rem, so 3.5 rem, and from the left we want 2.5 rem, so 2.5 rem, and let's save. Okay, so this is what we have achieved with this CSS styles we just added here, and let's add some styles for the h3 elements here. So I'll say dot feature box, and I'll target the h3, and basically I'm just going to give it a font size of 2 rem. So I'll say font size 2 rems, and let's do font weight of 700. Let's do line height of 2.5 rem. Let's do color, and let's just do dark violet. So var and dark violet. Let's save and see what we're doing. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's do some padding on the bottom. So it's easier to add our padding on the bottom here than to add our utility classes on the 3 sections in our HTML. So I'm just going to say 2.5 rem, and I'll save. Okay, so basically we're getting there, right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and so I'm going to target the modifier classes. So I'll say dot box2, box hyphen 2, and I'm just going to say margin top, so margin hyphen top, and I'm going to say 4%, so 4%. I'll save. Okay, so we have some margin here. So let's do the same for box 3. So I'm just going to copy this, I'll paste it in, and I'll change this to box 3, and this time I'm going to increase it to 8%, and then I'll save. Okay, so we have the boxes pushed down, you know, like in a stepwise manner. All right, so we have something better. Okay, all right, so now next let's see how we can add this line, okay, that goes through this cyan line that goes through the back of the flex boxes, feature boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my feature section, this pseudo element I left blank here, and with the pseudo element I'm going to add some CSS. So first I'll say content, and of course we'll leave the content blank, and then we'll set the position to absolute. So this position is in relative to this feature section here, right? Feature div here. That's why we had position relative here. So I'll say absolute, and I'll say from the top I want it to be 50%, so 50%. From the left I want it to be 30%, and I want it to have a width of, let's just say 50% as well, and I want it to have a height of 0.5 rem. Let's give it a background color of cyan. So var and cyan, and let's save. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the z index to z index, and I'm going to just say 11111 and save. Okay, so basically this is what we did. We just created a line, yeah, and this line is behind all of the boxes. So if you look at the feature box, you see that it has a z index of 1. Okay, so if we make this z index 0, for example, so let me just make this 0 and save. So the feature box is on top of it, but if I'm setting the z index here to 1, then there is no need for me to set the z index here. So if I comment this out and save, the feature still stays the same. Okay, so basically that's how you create this line that goes through the feature boxes. Okay, so it's a cool design actually. All right, so there are a lot of media queries we need to add to style these 3 components we just did, and basically let me just first of all try and shrink this up so that you can see what we're talking about. So if I try to shrink this up, okay, so you see that at some points this about text here doesn't look nice, and even the feature boxes. So if I keep shrinking it, at some point here it doesn't look nice. So we're going to fix that with media queries. Okay, so let me just open this later and come to my media queries section, the media queries, and I'll start here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add a comment, and I'm going to say about section. And basically I'm just going to change the width. So I'll say dot about, and I'll give it a width of 100%, and I'm going to target the h2. So dot about and h2, and I'll reduce the font size to 3 rem. Okay, so I think that's all for the about section here. So if I try to shrink, you see that the about section, this is it looks better here now. Okay, that's this about text. All right, so let's add some media queries for the feature section. And basically I'm just going to look for the feature box. So dot feature box, and I'm just going to add a padding of, so it's basically going to be almost the same, so 7 rem on the top, but then I'll reduce the bottom to 2 rem and 3 rem and then 2 rem. So basically I just reduce the padding on the left and right. Okay, and I'm also going to target the dot feature box and the nuts, and I'll say the last child. Oh, I think I just made a mistake somewhere here. So last hyphen child, and I'm just going to remove the margin to reduce the margin on the right. So margin right, I'm going to reduce it to 1.5 rem so we can have some spacing. Okay, so let me bring this up. Okay, so that's what we want to achieve basically. So but as you can see, the padding for this advanced section needs to increase so that there is space here. So I'll just go to my about section here and I'll just add some padding. So padding and bottom, let's just do 3 rem and see. Okay, so there's some space here, but let me see compared to here. So the space is actually more compared. So let me just come here and instead of making it 3 rem, let me make it something like 6 rem. Okay, so this looks better. All right, I'm spacing it out and okay, yeah. All right, so so how it looks on a mobile device, okay, it gets distorted when we get to the mobile width. Okay, so let's fix that. So what I'll do is I'll go to the mobile media query here, and I'm just going to add, so I'll just say feature section. I'll add a comment and say feature section, and I'm just going to say dot feature, and I'm going to change the flex direction to column, right, to column, not column reverse but just column, and I'm going to set the text align to center, right. So let me make sure that I'm in the width. Okay, so I'll save. So I'll save this, and as you can see, this is what we have. All right, so let's go ahead and add some styles as fast as we can. So let's target the dot feature and let's look for the after pseudo element, right. Let's just change some of the properties. So from left we want it to be 50%, and from the top we want it to be 20%. We want it to have a height, so height of 50 rem, and we want it to have a width, so width of 0.5 rem as well. And let's save. So as you can see, we've changed the orientation of the cyan line. Okay, so let me just widen it. So this cyan line, when it comes to the mobile view, we've changed the orientation to make it vertical. Okay, so but we also need to remove the padding, the margin rather, on the first and second box. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to target the feature box first. So I'll say dot feature hyphen box. Ouch. Right, and I would say margin bottom, and I'm just going to say, so let's make sure first that we are in the right track. NREM, so we're just adding space below here. So let's say we then target the feature hyphen box, Then let's do the not. So let me just get it and paste it in. So this guy here. So I'll paste it here. And I'll say margin hyphen right. I'll set it to 0. So I'm essentially removing the margin and making everything aligned to the right. Okay. So of course, this um our button here has to be, sorted out. We'll do that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to center this image. So the way we do that is, let's just target the feature image. And I'll say left of 50%, and I'll save. And so we have it here. So to make it fully centered, what we just need to do is to add a transform property, and we'll translate on the x-axis, and we're just going to say minus 50%, and then we'll save. As you can see, we have it fully centered. Okay, so that's more like what we have here. Yeah, all right. So maybe I should reduce the 10 rem here to maybe like 8 rem and save. Okay, so this looks much better, and it actually seems like the there is more space on the bottom here than here. So I think that was due to the box 1 and box 2 margin we set. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to say box, so let me just say dot box 2 hyphen 2, and I'll say comma, and then I'll say dot box 3, and then I would say margin top of 0. So margin hyphen top, and I'm setting it to 0, and then I'll save. So everything should be the same width now. All right, so I think we're done with this section. So let me just save that, and except for this button we have here. Okay, so this should not take long. So maybe I'll just come here and say that, let me look for the settings. So I think it's inputs. So where is my input? So input box, form inputs, and input box form link. I'm just going to change the width. So I'll come here, I'll copy this, and I'll come to my media queries for my mobile device, and just before the feature section, I think I'm going to add the input section, and I'll just paste that in here, and I'll change the width. I'll change the width to 70%, and I'll save. Okay, and then I will then paste it again. This time I'll then say dot input link, I think. So let me confirm for my HTML. So I don't want to go too far. So input section link button rather. All right, so I'll say dot link hyphen btn, and I'll change the width to 30%. I think that should do the trick. Okay, so that actually did the trick. So we are fine here on this front. All right, so we're also fine here. So basically we are done with this section. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next section, and this is the next section here. So this boost section and the footer section. So I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be back. All right, welcome back to the lecture, guys. So we're going to do the boost section in this video. So let me quickly show you what we are gonna achieve. So let me space this out just a little bit. And so we're going to do this section and the footer section. Okay, so we shouldn't take much time for the boost section. So let's first off, let's write the markup. And yeah, so I'll go to my index.html. Let me space this out just a little bit, and I'll come down here and add a comment, and I'll just say boost section. Okay, so basically let's just add a section with a class of boost section. Let's add a div with a class of container and another class of boost. And then I'm just going to add an h2 that is going to have a utility class of u-mb and medium. So that's just a margin bottom. Okay, and within the class we're going to add the text. So let me just get the text and see what it is. So I think it's okay. So boost your links today. I'm gonna get these and just paste it here, and then we're just going to add a button. So it's just a simple a tag, and it's going to have a class of button, so btn, and another class of button and hyphen large. Okay, and then of course we are not really going anywhere with the button, but it's simply going to say get started. So and that's it. Okay, so let's I'm going to right click and open this with live server one more time so we can have a refreshed page. Okay, so and this is what we have here. So boost section. So let's go ahead and write our styles for this section. So I'll go to my styles.css, and okay, so I think I'll go upwards before the media query. Okay, so before the media query, I'm going to add a comment, and basically the way I add my comments, I make it bold so that it's easily visible, and I'll say boost section, and let's just duplicate this. So let me give some space, and basically I'm just going to say the boost section. Let's give it a width of 100%, and let's give it a background color of var and dark violet. Let's give it a position of relative, and we'll see why we're doing that shortly. And let's give it a z index of 1. Okay, so that should be z index ind, okay, of 1. Okay, now I'm going to add a pseudo element. So basically what I'll do is I'll say dot boost section, and I would say before, and of course let's start with writing the content, and we'll leave it blank, and then we'll say position absolute, and then from the top I want it to be 0. From the left I want it also to be 0, and I want it to have a width of 200 rems. Okay, based on what the figures I tried when I was initially doing the project. I want it to have a height of 100%, and then this is where we down set the background image, and of course we're going to use our URL and target our images folder, and then we'll just get the boost desktop, so boost desktop svg file. Okay, so let's save and let's see what we have. So permit me to space this out just a little. Okay, so we have this image here, but we've not actually styled our button and our text. Okay, so I think we should have actually done that first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the dot boost and save, so we just have our text and our background color. I will then add my styles for the text. So first off, I'll say dot boost, and basically I'll say display block, font weight, text align, sorry, so text align and center, and then I'll save. I think that should bring, okay, so we have it in the center here. Okay, so let's give it a Z index. So giving it a Z index doesn't really make much sense until we see why we are giving it a Z index of any value. So what I'll do is I'll just target my boost and my H2 within the boost, and I'm just going to give it a font size of 4M, and let's give it a font weight of 700 and a color. So this time the color is going to be white, so var and white, and then let's save. Okay, so basically this is what we have. All right, I am then going to come here and complete this. So I'll come here and add my dot here, so I'll save, and I'll just say I want the background position to be center, and I would say I want the background repeat to be no repeats. Okay, so let me save and let's see what we have. Okay, so we then see here that the background image is covering our text and our button. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of having a Z index. So what I'll do here is I'll just set my Z index to -1, so a negative value, and then here I'll just set my Z index to, let's just give it a high number here. Okay, so basically that's why we had our Z index. So we have the boost your link today and the get started button. Okay, all right, so that's all we need to do for this section. So what we're going to do next is we're going to write the markup for the footer section. I don't think there's a need to actually take a break, so I'll go to my index.html and I will just come below here and I'll add a comment as usual, and then I'll say footer section. So the footer section has quite a number of components, so let me just expand this just a little and let's go and see. So we have 5 subsections here. These 3 are just basically links, so it shouldn't be that hard. And then we have the icons here. So for these icons you can actually do more interesting things. For example, you can add a hover effect such that when you hover on it the color changes or something, or there's an animation that happens when, but I haven't done that in this tutorial, but you can try that out. Okay, so we have our logo here. All right, so let's write the markup for this section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say footer, and I'm going to give it a class of footer section. Okay, and then I will just put everything in a container, and it's also going to have a class of footer, a modifier class. And then let's first of all write a div with a class of footer logo. So first we want to create the footer logo div, so footer -logo, and then we're just going to simply add an image tag, and it's just going to be images and logo.svg, and let's save. So if we see what we've done, so this is what we've done here. Okay, so dot container, so there's a problem here. Oh, I made a mistake here, so I need to write that mistake. So let's actually come here and add a dot. Okay, So dot footer, and I think this needs to go, and this one needs to come in here. I hope I'm not actually confusing you. Okay, so basically, yeah, so I think everything is fine like this. Okay, so it's clear. So let me save this and let's see. So we just have a logo here, but it's white, so we're not really seeing it properly, but don't worry, we'll come back to that. So what we'll do next is we're going to create another div with a class of footer menu. Okay, so I'll just say dot footer hyphen menu. And then within that footer menu, first off, we're going to create a paragraph, and this paragraph is going to have a utility class umb hyphen small. Okay, and the paragraph is simply going to say features. I think the first one is features, so let me see. Okay, so features, yeah. So I'm going to come here and I'm just going to see features. Okay, and then just under the paragraph we're going to create an unordered list. Okay, so I'm just going to say ul, and it's going to have a class of nav hyphen ul because we already created that class for menu links, okay, in the header section. So it's going to have a class of nav ul and a modifier class of footer links. So footer hyphen links, so I should actually do it like this and hit tab key. Okay, so within this ul, I'll then create list items. So I'll just say li, and within the li I'm going to create an a tag. Okay, and then I hit tab. Okay, the links are not going anywhere, so basically I can just maybe duplicate this first. So 1, 2 and 3, I think. Let me just check to confirm. So 3 link items. Okay, so we'll then put link items here. So the first one is going to be, let's just check it out, shrink this just a little bit. Okay, all right, I have it written out here, so I can simply just copy it. So let me just copy it, Control C and here and Control V, and then I'll then cut them out and put them in the right places. And I'll get this one and I'll put it in the last one here. Okay, all right, so we can then close the gap here. Okay, and then we'll save and see what we've done. Okay, so we have our links here. All right, but the background, so maybe I will just change the background so that we can see what we are doing. So I'll just come to my styles.css first, and let me add a comment. And first off, I'll say footer section in my comment. And I'll just say dot, and I'll just give it, first off, I'll give it a padding of 5 rem on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right. And then I'll then say background color of very dark violet. So I'll say var and very, oh, that should be hyphen, and I'll say dark, so very dark violet, and then I'll save, such that when we come here we'll then see our footer links, you know, displayed properly. Now what I'm going to do is I would not want to spend so much time writing the markup for, let me just come here, I will not want to spend so much time writing the markup for these guys because they are basically the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this one here and change the names, but I'll pause the video and do that very quickly. Okay, so let me quickly do that. All right, welcome back. So basically what I did was that I just copied and paste, did a copy and paste for the links, and then I changed the text, okay, on it. So let me just show you. So this is for resources. The first one is for features, and these are the link items. This is for resources, and the last one is for company. So basically this is the result of what I did here. All right, so you can go ahead and do the same. Besides, I'm going to leave a link in the description to this code, I think. All right, so the last section in our footer is the footer image. Okay, footer social icons. So I'm going to create a div with a class of footer icons, and inside it I'm just going to create image tags. So just regular img tags and images, and the first icon is going to be Facebook icon, Facebook. And then I'm just going to duplicate this 2 3 4 times, and then I'm going to change this to Twitter, I think so, Twitter. And I'm changing the next one to Pinterest, and this last one is going to be Instagram. And then I'll save, and let's see. Okay, so basically I think we're done with our markup. All right, so let's go ahead and add our styles so we can round up this lecture. Okay, so first off, let's target the footer. So and let's add our display to grid. Okay, and let's do grid template columns, and basically I'm just going to use the repeat. Okay, and I would say auto fit. I'll add a comma and set the min max of this to 15 rem. I'll add a comma and I'll say 1 fr. Okay, so if you don't know what this means, there's no problem. Just check the link in the description where I'll paste my grid crash course tutorial. Okay, so let's set a row gap, and let's just do 2 rem. Okay, and let's save and see what we've done. Okay, so this is what we have. It doesn't look very nice, but don't worry, we're still styling. So let's come and start from the footer logo, footer hyphen logo, and basically I'm just going to give it a width. Oh well, I really don't want to actually do that now, so I'm just gonna get rid of this for now. So basically let's just go directly to footer links, so footer hyphen links, and I'll set the display to flex. So as you can see, as you can probably notice, we are using grid and flexbox to achieve stuff here. I'll set the flex direction to column, so, and I'll set the text decoration to none, and then I'll save. So basically this is what we just achieved with these 3 lines of CSS. Okay, so it's already taking shape like we would like. So what I'll do next is I'll just say something like dot footer links hyphen links, and I'm just going to target the list items. So basically I just want to add some space. Okay, so I'll say padding hyphen bottom, and I'm just going to set the top to, well, if I'm saying padding bottom, then it should just be the bottom. So I'll just give it a, just say 0.5 rem, and I'll save. Okay, so we have things spaced out here just a little. Okay, so let's come and let's do dot footer hyphen icons, and let's target the img, and basically let's just space them out just a little bit. So I would say padding and 0 on the top, 2 rem on the right, 0.5 rem on the bottom, and 0 on the left, and let's save. Okay, so we have things spaced out just a little bit here. So let me just open this up and let's see what we have. Okay, so basically this is what we have, and I think it looks nice. Okay, like I said, you can go ahead and add some styles here. um you know, for the footer icons you can add a hover style, but I'm not doing that in this tutorial. So what I'm going to do now is, when you come to the desktop, the mobile version, I want to have like a straight, um all my footer items on a straight line, like so. So something like this is what I want. So basically we're going to add media queries to achieve that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go to my media queries, and let's just come to mobile section. So I think the end. Okay, so we're here. There's something here wrong here. Let me see. So this should not be a dot, this should be a comma, and it probably affected the page and I missed it out. Okay, so I think it actually affected the page, but now everything looks fine. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to come below this and I'll say footer section, and basically I'm just going to say dot footer, and I'll change the display. I'll just set the display to flex direction is going to be set to column. Let me save this and show you what we just did. Okay, so this is what we just did, and let's go ahead and do justify content, and of course we're going to set it to center. Okay, then let's align items as well to center. Now let's do text align. Well, let me save it and show you. Okay, so it actually seems fine like this. So but watch what happens. So let me do text align, and I'll say center and save, and as you can see it's more centered. Okay, all right, so if I come here, you see that it's similar to what we have, everything centered nicely. Okay, so let's just space this out and see what we've been able to do so far. So far we've been able to build this website. Now what we're going to do last, but not the least, is we're going to write a small animation for this initial section here. So if I, let's say, click on this button. Oh, okay, so when you refresh the page, there's this animation that the live server has been disabled on this page. Okay, so I need to open the live server one more time. So let me come here and right click, open with live server. Okay, so we have this animation that, you know, pops up. So that's what we're going to implement in our own demo here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to come to the, let's just come to the bottom here, you know, just put the animation last, and of course let's add a comment, and let's just say animation. So if you've seen my previous tutorial, you probably know how to do this, or you've probably seen me do this before. So I'm going to use at keyframe. Okay, and I'm going to give the animation a name. In this case I'll say move up, and I'll say at 0%. So 0%, I want it to, so I'll say transform. Okay, and I'll say translate in the y-axis, and basically I'm just going to say 100% here. So it's going to push the section 100% down, okay, downwards. Okay, so I'll just copy this and I'll paste it twice. So Control V, and then here I'll say at 50%, and here it's going to be at 100%. So that should be 100, and I'm going to change this to 50%. So at 50%, I want it to move upwards by 50%, and at 100% of this animation, I want it to be at 0. So at the original position. Basically, what this animation simply says is that it's moving from downwards, up. Okay, so let's go ahead and write a CSS rule for this. So I'll say dot move up. I should actually say slide up. Slide up looks cool. Okay, so let me change it to slide up. So slide. Okay, and let's change that here. V. Okay, and save. And then let's add some CSS rules. So I'll say animation, and basically I would say slide up, and I'll say I want the animation to take 8 seconds, so 0.8 s, and I want it to happen once, and then I want I want it to be linear, and then I'll save. Okay, now it's not taking any effect because I need to get this slide up class, and I need to come to my index.html, and let's scroll up and locate our introduction section. So this is it. I'll come to the intro text, I'll give a space, and I'll paste it in, and I would come to the intro image, give a space, paste it in, and then last but not the least, I'll come to this input form here, and I'll just where's the input form, input section, so somewhere here, yeah, and then I'll just paste it in. Okay, and then I'll save. All right, so let's space this out a little, so you see that we have let's refresh the page and see. All right, so we have the animation here, slide up animation for when you just load the page. Okay, so let me just come to the mobile view, and let's see. So this is what we have built in this tutorial. So let me scroll down, and oh, there's this shorten it text, you know, budging up here. So I know you can actually fix that. I thought we did previously, but I'll just leave that as a challenge. See how you can fix this stuff here. Okay, and then let's scroll down and see. Okay, so you see we have this cool effect and this design here, and let's keep scrolling down. Okay, so basically we've been able to build this simple website in this tutorial. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, I want to encourage you to subscribe. If I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to start doing tutorials on JavaScript. Okay, all right, so thank you so much for watching this tutorial. See you in another video.